Welcome to this video. Today I will be talking about steps that you can take to optimize your computer, or in other words, things that you can do to speed up a slow computer and make sure that it's running at its peak efficiency. Now I will be going over each one of these steps one by one and listing them down below in the notes, as well as any important links will be listed also in the notes below. For step number one, what you're going to do is come down here and type in Control Panel. And you're going to go ahead and open up your control panel. And then over here in the little search option, to search the control panel, you're just going to type in Performance. And then what it's going to do is bring up an option like this that says Adjust the Appearance and Performance of Windows. So we're going to click on that. Now yours is most likely going to be on this top option that says Let Windows Choose, but we can change it to Adjust for best performance. The one option I would leave on is this one right here, just because if that one's turned off, things are kind of difficult to read. But everything else we have turned off. We're just going to hit Apply and then OK, and that's step number one. For step number two, you're going to come over here to your desktop and just right click and go down to Personalize. And then when the menu opens up here, come over here to the left-hand column and go to Colors. And then just scroll down until you find the transparency effect. Make sure that this is turned off because this can also affect performance. For step number three, we're just going to double check the settings on the computer. And so you're going to come back down here to the search and type in Settings. And then just go ahead and open up the settings. And when the menu opens up, the first thing you'll want to do is come over here to Privacy and go down the left-hand column. We're just going to first skip down here to Background Apps. These are all the apps that run in the background that are just taking up resources and slowing the computer down. So you'll just want to go through this list. You should be able to turn everything off. You'll see that I have all of mine off. The only thing I have turned on has to do with the security. Everything else is turned off, and I recommend that you do the same. Additionally, I'd come over here to the App Diagnostics, make sure that that is turned off, as well as also go to the Feedback and Diagnostics, make sure that that is set to Basic, and this will help limit the amount of information that's being sent in the background. Additionally, I would also recommend that you go through each category here on the left-hand column. The more things that you have turned off, the better, as it will help optimize the computer because less things will be running in the background. And it will also help increase your privacy as well. So again, just go through each one of these. Just double check. Again, I would strongly recommend that you just turn everything off if you can. Notifications I have turned on, that should be fine, but you can turn those off if you would like to. But again, the more things you have turned off here, the more it will help optimize your computer and help it run more efficiently. Once completed, just hit the back button in the top left corner and come over here to the Update and Security, and just make sure you have the Windows Update tab selected on the left hand side and go to Check for Updates. This will help just make sure that Windows is up to date, which is important because it includes stability and performance updates that help your computer run more efficiently. For step four, this is going to have 5 parts, and so it has to do with malware, which is a common cause of slowing a computer down. And so we need to get all of the malware and adware and spyware and any viruses and other infections cleaned off of the computer. And so what you're going to do is go down to the notes below underneath step 4, go to part A and click on the link there, and you can download the free version of Malwarebytes, which is this program right here. So you're going to download, install it, and then when you get the program open, just come over here to the Updates option and click right here to make sure that the updates are current. And then once it's finished updating, go ahead and click on Scan Now. If it finds anything, remove it, and then restart the computer and move on to step or part B. For part B, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to go to the notes below and click on the link there and download the free version of Super Anti-Spyware, which is this program. Once you have it installed, you'll come over here and click where it says Check for Updates just to make sure it's up to date. And then you'll click on Scan this computer and do a complete scan. Be sure to remove everything it finds and then again restart the computer and move on to part C. Again, for part C, you will click on the link there and download the junkware removal tool, which is this program right here. And basically, you just follow the instructions. It just says press any key to begin, and it will go through and clean out any junk that it finds on your computer. And then you'll need to, again, restart the computer and move to part D. For part D, again, you'll go back down to the notes below and click on the link there to download the free program called ADW Cleaner or Adware Cleaner, which is this program right here. Just install it and then you'll get this window. Make sure you go to Help and check for updates first before running the program. And then once it's up to date, you can hit OK. And then you'll go ahead and just scan for any adware. Again, after it runs, make sure you remove everything and again restart the computer and move to part E. Now for part E, you don't have to go click on a link below for this one. You just need to open up whichever antivirus program you currently have on your computer. Just open it up, and once you have it opened up, you'll just need to locate the update option. Every antivirus program has an update option. You need to find it, check for updates, just to make sure your antivirus is up to date. And then once it's up to date, you will want to run a scan, a full scan of your computer just to make sure that there's nothing left and that everything has been removed. Now for step number 5, we need to go through and clean out the web browsers. We need to do this for Google Chrome, Firefox, and Edge. And I'm going to start off with Google Chrome. And so the first thing you're going to want to do once Chrome is open is click on the 3 little dots up in the top right corner and go down to where it says Help and then over to About Google Chrome. And this will just make sure that it is up to date. Again, it's important to have everything up to date because it includes stability and performance updates. Once you get the little blue check mark letting you know it is up to date, you'll come back up here to the 3 little dots and this time go down to More Tools. And then from there over to extensions. Extensions are really bad when it comes to web browser performance. They really slow the web browser down. And so what we're going to do is check this developer mode box up at the top. Click on Update Extensions Now. Make sure everything's up to date. For the Google extensions, we're just going to disable them by unchecking the box. This will just make sure that they're not running in the background. And then other than the Google extensions, I would strongly recommend that you remove all other extensions. The only ones I would make exceptions for would be any extension that has to do with your password keeper or password vault, or if you have an extension that has to do with your antivirus or security software. But everything else needs to be removed, and so I'm just going to disable this one and then click on the garbage can to remove it off of the browser. Next, we're going to go down to Firefox and open up Firefox. You'll want to first click on the menu button up in the top right corner and then go down to the question mark. And then from there, click on About Firefox. This will just make sure that it is up to date. And then once you get the up to date message, you can close that little box and go back to the menu button. And this time we want to go to Add-ons. Now when the Add-ons menu appears, the first thing I want you to do is come over here to the Extensions tab on the left hand side. Again, just make sure you have extensions selected. Just like with Google Chrome, extensions really slow the browser down, including here in Firefox, and so I would strongly recommend that you remove all extensions. The only exception would be an extension that has to do with your password keeper or password vault, or possibly one that has to do with your security software. So the first thing we're going to do is come up here to the gear icon and go to check for updates just to make sure everything is up to date. There is an option here to disable an extension if there's one that you'd rather disable, but again, I would strongly recommend that you remove all extensions except for the exceptions I have already mentioned. And then once you have done that, come over here to plugins. Now here in the middle, it will list all of the plugins on your Firefox browser. Over here, you'll have an option to change the settings. I would recommend that you go through each one and change it to Ask to Activate if it gives you the option to do so, so that way they're not constantly running in the background. Additionally, if you go down to the notes below underneath step 5, there is a link, a URL that you need to copy. It's this one right here. You're just going to copy it. and paste it into your Firefox web browser. And what this will do is just double check to make sure all of your plugins are up to date. If there are any updates, it will list them down here. Just make sure that if it does list any updates, that you do the updates. Last, we're going to go over to Microsoft Edge, and just like with the other two browsers, we're going to come up here to the menu button, these three little dots, and go down to Extensions. I'm going to click on it. It's going to list all of the extensions here. We only have one, so you'll have to do this for each one. And again, I'm going to repeat myself. Extensions are very bad for performance. They're also very bad for security and privacy, so I strongly recommend that you remove all of them. Only exceptions would be a password keeper or password vault, or if you have one that has to do with your antivirus. But even those I wouldn't strongly recommend keeping, because those often are garbage as well. So really, I would only recommend extensions that have to do with your password keeper or password vault. Anyways, over here, what we're going to do is go to the extension and click on the little gear icon, and then we're going to first turn it off and then uninstall it to remove it off of the browser. For step number 6, you will need to go back down to the notes below and click on the link there and download the free program, which is CCleaner, and you'll download it, install it, and then you'll get a window like this. I'm just going to make it larger. This step will have 4 parts, and so for part A of step 6, you'll click on the Cleaner tab, and then first make sure you have the Windows tab selected, and basically just make sure that your checkboxes match what I have right here. Make sure you do not have anything checked below Windows log files. We don't want to delete anything down here, but just make sure everything here matches. Make sure that your saved passwords and saved form data are not checked, and then go to the Applications tab. Now underneath the Applications tab, your list may be different than mine. It just depends which applications you have installed. But for the web browsers, just make sure you don't have any saved password or form data checked, and everything else you can go ahead and check. But again, don't delete any saved passwords or any form data out of your browsers. And then once you have all of those checked, you can go ahead and just click on the Run Cleaner button. Now once it has completed clearing out all of the garbage for part B, you'll come over here and click on the Registry tab and just go ahead and click on the Scan for Issues. And then if it finds anything, it will list it here in the middle once it has completed. And then you'll just come down here and click on Fix Selected Issues. Go ahead and back it up. And then you'll go ahead and just click on the Fix Issue button. And then you can close that and then move on to part C. For part C, you'll come over here to Tools and make sure you have the Uninstall tab selected. And this is going to list the applications and programs you have installed on your computer. And so basically we just want to go through and clean out all the garbage and all of the programs that may be slowing the computer down. And so if you are not familiar with the programs on your list, if you go back down to the notes below, there is another link underneath part C that will take you to this website, which is shouldIRemove.it.com. All you do is you just type in the name of the program on the list and hit search, and it will tell you whether or not you should remove it. Basically anything with a yellow or orange rating you need to remove. Anything with the red rating you absolutely should remove. But if it comes up with a green rating, then you can leave it. It's fine. It's not causing any problems. Now additionally, if you're on Windows 10, you will want to come down here to the Windows Start button and go to Settings. We can just type in Settings here and open it up. And you'll want to go to Apps over here. And the reason why is some apps will only display on this list and not in CCleaner. So to make sure you got everything removed and all the junk out of there, you will want to check this list as well and just make sure nothing was missed. If you do find an application or program here that does need to be removed, you basically just click on it and then go to Uninstall. Here in CCleaner, to uninstall a program, you basically just click on it and click on Uninstall, and then it will let you go ahead and remove it. Once you have completed removing all of the junk programs off of your computer, you'll want to go to part D, which is basically just coming over here to the Startup tab. And these are all the programs that are set to start up when you first turn the computer on, and so they're running in the background. So basically we want to turn everything off here that we can. The only two things you don't want to turn off is anything that has to do with your security or antivirus software, or if you have an automated online backup software, you don't want to turn that off either. But again, everything else you can turn off. So you just select it, hit disable, and it will turn it off. And you can actually select more than one thing at a time if you'd like to. And so again, just turn everything off except for anything that has to do with your antivirus or any sort of backup software. And then this will help optimize the computer as well. For step 7, you're going to want to come back down here to the search and type in msconfig. And it will look just like that. And then you'll come up here to the system configuration, just right click and go to run as administrator. And when it opens up here, you'll click on the services tab and make sure you also check the hide all Microsoft services. And it's going to give you a list of all the services that are running in the background. Now, we can uncheck all of these boxes and turn them all off to help optimize the computer, but you have to keep in mind if you do this, there are some things that will be turned off that you will have to do manually. So for example, Google Updates, if you turn these off, you'll have to remember to do them manually. Now, if you don't want to have to worry about that, here's another option you can do. You can go ahead and disable all of them, and then once a week, come back here, turn these on, restart the computer, and let them do their thing. And then after that, you can disable them again. So that way you don't have to worry about doing these things manually, but you can still take advantage of optimizing the computer. So again, you can disable these once a week, come back, enable them, restart the computer, and then once they've done their thing, you can re-enable them, or disable them again, and then restart the computer. And that way you can keep your computer optimized. If you prefer not to worry about all of that, then just leave these the way they are, just because it will be turning off some things such as updates that are important. Once you've unchecked the boxes, just make sure you hit apply and then OK, and then you will need to restart the computer. For step number 8, we need to run a defrag, and so the way that we do that is we come down here to the search and type in File, Explore, and we'll just want to go ahead and open up the File Explorer. And when this window comes up, we'll want to go over here to this PC and click on it. And then over here to the C drive, we want to right click on it and go down to Properties. And then when this window opens up, we want to go to the Tools tab. And then from here, click on Optimize. The first thing you will want to look for is whether or not it says solid state drive right here. If it says solid state drive, do not run the defrag. Only run it if it does not say solid state drive, and make sure the schedule is turned off. If it does not say solid state drive, then you want to go ahead and turn it on. And then to turn it on, you'll just check this box. I would change it to monthly and make sure underneath the drives that it does have at least the C drive selected. And then you'll go ahead and hit OK. I'm not going to click OK because I have a solid state drive, so I'm just going to cancel. And then to run the defrag right now, just make sure you have the C drive highlighted or selected and go to Optimize. Again, do not do this if it says solid state drive right here. And also, if you have a solid state drive, make sure it says off underneath schedule. For step number 9, this is going to be completely optional. Let me explain. If you have gone through all of the steps up until now and your computer is still running slow, then you may want to consider doing step 9. And so what this will include is you'll come down here to the search and again type in settings. And we're just going to go ahead and open up the settings here. And then when the menu opens, go ahead and go down here to update and security. And then from here, you'll want to go to the recovery option. And we will find an option to reset the computer. Now, before you do anything, make sure you back up your files, back up all of your important data before doing this option. And then when you come here and click on Get Started, it will give you two options. First, try doing it with the Keep My Files option. If you do that and it's still running poorly, then try removing everything and then reset it again. And if you go through this option and the computer is still running slow, then that pretty much confirms that the problem is not software related and you're probably dealing with a hardware issue. For step number 10, we want to take a look at the hardware. Like I've already mentioned, if you've gone through all the other steps up until now and you're still having performance issues and the computer is still running slow, then most likely you're dealing with a hardware issue. And so up here on the screen, I've listed the three main culprits when it comes to hardware and computer speed. You have your CPU, the RAM, and the drive, whether it be a hard drive or a solid state drive. And so it could be one of these three, it could be two of these three, it could be all three. But what I would recommend doing is come down here to your taskbar and just find a blank space and right click and go to the Task Manager option, and it will open up the Task Manager. And by the way, if you get a window like this, just click on the More Details here in the bottom left and it will open up this window. But from here you'll want to go to the Performance tab, and it's going to list the performance of your CPU and the memory here as well as the disk. Now, if it's right now it's only using 2-3% of the CPU on this computer. If you're getting above 90%, 90 to 100, then there's a good possibility it's your CPU and you need to upgrade the CPU. If you go to memory and it's getting above 90%, then it could quite possibly be the memory or RAM. And right here it will list how much RAM you do have in your computer. Now, as far as the drive, if you're using a hard drive, I would strongly recommend upgrading to a solid state drive because your whole computer is just going to run faster and more efficiently if you put a solid state drive in it. I know depending on your computer it may affect whether or not you can upgrade these components, and so you may need to buy a new computer. But down in the notes below I will list links to where you can go to at least get a solid state drive and other computer parts for a good price in case upgrading is something that you'd like to consider doing. An additional tip would be to also go to google.com and just search for internet speed test, and then when it brings up the results, one of the options will say run speed test, just this blue button. You can click on that and run a speed test to see if possibly the internet is the actual culprit behind your computer running slow. That's everything for this video. I hope those steps help you out. If you have any questions or comments, please put them in the comment section below.